Inside the dark and quiet corridors of the human flagship Endeavour, everything felt heavy. The lights were dim, and the air smelled cold and old, like metal and medicine. For months, the crew had been fighting the powerful Xylar Empire in space. They were tired, and many had lost hope. But now, something was happening that would change everything. On Deck 7, Tara, a young officer with careful eyes and steady hands, hurried down the hall. She was only 24, but she already felt older. Her job was important today. The captain himself had called her. She had to prepare for something the crew had talked about only in whispers, awakening the famous General Morgan from Cryo. Sleep. Tara's heart beat faster as she reached the med bay where the cryo chamber was kept. Outside the door, a group of engineers, medics, and security officers were waiting, talking quietly. Even though they all wore the same gray uniforms, Tara could see the differences on their faces. Some looked nervous, others curious, and a few just looked tired. Dr. Shun, the ship's chief medic, nodded to Tara. He looked serious, his face thin and pale after so many sleepless nights. "You're here just in time," he said quietly. "The captain is almost ready. Are you?" Tara nodded. She tried to sound calm. "Yes, Doctor. Is General Morgan, is he really the one who can help us?" Dr. Shun looked away, thinking. He was the best human general before the Xylar came. They say he never lost a battle. But he's been asleep for almost 7 years. Everything has changed. Tara took a deep breath. She had heard the stories, too. When the war had started, General Morgan led the humans with clever plans and strong words. He was a hero. But after the Xylar's new weapons destroyed 2 colonies, the High Command made a secret decision. They would freeze their greatest general, saving him for when things were truly hopeless. Now, with the human forces almost destroyed, and the Xylor blockading the last stronghold, the captain had finally given the order. It was time to wake Morgan. The cryo chamber sat in the middle of the room, covered in ice. Pipes and wires wrapped around it, keeping it cold and silent. There was a small window at the front, and inside, Tara could see the outline of a man, lying still as if sleeping. The crew around her fell silent as the captain entered. He was tall, with gray hair and a hard jaw, but his eyes were soft today. "Let's begin," the captain said simply. Dr. Shun pressed buttons on the control panel, and the cryo chamber made a hissing noise. The ice on the window began to melt, and thick mist rolled out. Slowly, the lights on the chamber changed from blue to green. Inside, the man's eyes flickered open. He looked around, confused, as the glass slid open. General Morgan was older than Tara expected. His hair was short and silver, and there were lines on his face, but his eyes were bright and awake, searching the room with sharp focus. He tried to sit up, and Tara quickly moved forward to help him. Morgan's voice was hoarse but strong. "How long?" he asked, looking at Tara and Dr. Shun. "Almost 7 years, sir," Dr. Shun answered, handing Morgan a small cup of water. "You're on the flagship Endeavour. We just woke you. The situation is critical." Morgan sipped the water and nodded. "I see. Are we losing?" The captain stepped closer. "We're close to defeat, General. The Xylar have us surrounded. Our last outpost is blockaded. We have little food, little fuel. Many ships are gone." Morgan took a slow, deep breath. He looked at each face in the room. "Why did you wait so long?" The captain hesitated. "We hoped we could win without you, but nothing worked. The Xylar's new technology is stronger than anything we've seen. Our people are tired, and morale is low." Morgan put the cup aside and carefully stood up. His movements were stiff, but his presence filled the room with energy. "Then let's not waste any more time." The crew looked at him with a mix of awe and worry. Tara watched the general as he steadied himself. She could feel something changing, a small spark of hope. "Officer Tara, is it? Morgan asked, reading her name from her uniform. Can you bring me a situation report? I want to see the latest battle maps, the enemy positions, and the crew roster. I want to know what we have left. Tara nodded quickly and hurried out to gather the data. As she left, she heard Morgan's voice behind her. I need to see everything. No hiding. The truth, even if it's bad. While Tara gathered reports, Morgan spoke with the engineers and medics. He asked simple questions about the ship's condition, the weapons, and the mood among the crew. He listened carefully, sometimes closing his eyes to think. His presence seemed to make people stand taller. For the first time in weeks, the crew felt someone truly understood their struggle. Tara returned with a tablet filled with maps and data. She handed it to Morgan, who began scrolling through it quickly. Good, he said, tapping points on the map. I see they're using the same formation as before. They believe we're beaten. Morgan turned to the captain. Do we have the supplies for a short, sharp action? I don't mean days. I mean hours. The captain looked surprised. We have just enough for one big push, if that's what you mean. Morgan smiled just a little. That's all I need. He called a meeting of the senior officers. They gathered in the small briefing room, anxious and tired. Tara stood by the door listening as Morgan explained what he saw. He pointed out weak spots in the Xylor fleet. He noticed patterns the others had missed, places where the enemy was overconfident, where their ships were spread too thin. Morgan's plan was bold. He wanted to divide the crew into small teams, each with a simple job. Some would act as a distraction, pretending to be hurt and calling for help. Others would sneak aboard the enemy's biggest ship, using old human tricks and gravity tools the Xylor didn't know about. As Morgan spoke, the officers began to sit straighter. Even the captain looked hopeful. Tara watched the general's face and realized he wasn't just giving orders. He was building their confidence. He made them believe that even in the darkest hour, humans could surprise their enemies. When the Yasi meeting ended, Tara walked back with Morgan through the ship's main corridor. He looked at the walls and floors, seeing the scars of old battles, burn marks, broken lights, and patched holes. People forget what humans are made of, Morgan said quietly. We're stubborn. We fight when we're down. And we don't give up, ever. Tara smiled for the first time in days. Do you really think we can win, sir? Morgan stopped and looked at her kindly. I know we can. But first, we need everyone to believe it. That's where you come in, Tara. Tell your friends, your team. We're going to make history. The ship's alarms sounded in the distance, a reminder that the Xylor were still out there. But now, as Tara walked to her station, she felt something new inside her, hope. Inside the command center, the captain gave Morgan full control of the ship. The crew watched as their old general took his seat at the front of the bridge. He was still weak from cryo sleep, but his voice was steady and strong as he gave his first order. Let's get to work, General Morgan said. We have a war to win. Outside the windows, stars shone bright against the black sky. The human flagship, once silent and slow, began to move with purpose. For the first time in months, the crew felt alive again, and somewhere, deep in space, the Xylor fleet waited, unaware that everything was about to change. Tara woke early the next ship's morning. She had not slept much, but her mind felt sharper than ever. Yesterday, everything had changed when General Morgan stepped out of cryosleep. Now she hurried to the bridge, holding the tablet with all the reports and maps he wanted. She didn't want to waste a single minute. The war could be decided today. The bridge was busy. People moved quickly, speaking in short whispers. Some checked screens that showed the galaxy outside. Others watched for any change in the Xylor fleet's position. Tara noticed the new energy in the crew. Even those who looked tired seemed to stand a little taller. General Morgan was already there, standing near the main view window. He wore a simple gray uniform like the others, but he somehow looked different, calm, focused, and ready. The captain, officers, and engineers waited around him, looking for his lead. Tara handed him the tablet. "Here's everything you asked. 4, sir. Enemy fleet patterns, crew roster, supply count, and latest news from the outer decks." Morgan nodded. He scrolled through the data, his eyes moving fast, but his face never showing worry. "Good work, Tara," he said. "I want you to stay here with me today. You see things others miss." Tara felt a little nervous but proud. "Yes, sir." Morgan called the captain and other senior officers to the center of the bridge. He pointed. At the big star map projected in the air, tiny blue lights showed the human ships, and bright red ones showed the enemy, the Xylor fleet, like a net closing in. "Look here," Morgan said, tapping a section where the enemy ships were spread out. "They're overconfident. They think we are finished. But if you look close, they made a mistake." He zoomed in on a small gap between 2 Xylor cruisers. "This is their weak spot. It's where we can break their line." The officers looked at each other, unsure. The Xylor fleet had more ships, bigger weapons, and advanced technology. Breaking through seemed impossible. Morgan saw their doubt and spoke gently. "We do not need to fight every ship. We only need to surprise them, make them afraid, and show them we are still here." He explained his plan. The Endeavor would act as bait. They would send a fake distress signal as if badly damaged. The Xylor would see it and send boarding teams, thinking victory was close. But hidden, a small group of engineers and Marines would sneak out in repair pods, move along the ship's hull, and launch themselves toward the Xylor's command cruiser. At the same time, Tara's group would run communications, sending out fake messages and scrambling enemy sensors. Human engineers would use gravity tools to pull apart some of the Xylor ship's shields from a distance, an old trick that only humans knew. The whole plan was risky, but Morgan was certain it could work. "Timing is everything," he said. "If one part fails, the rest will fall apart. But if we act quickly and trust each other, we can change the course of the war in hours, not days." The captain finally nodded. "You have command, General." "We trust you." Morgan thanked him, then gave jobs to each officer. No one was left out. Even the cooks and janitors were told what to do, anything to keep the ship running and ready. Tara was put in charge of the communications team. She was to send coded messages, listen for enemy signals, and report every small change. Morgan trusted her, and she was determined not to let him down. The next few hours were full of movement. The engineers gathered tools and checked the repair pods. The Marines suited up in old, patched armor, not as strong as the enemy's, but good enough if they stayed smart. Tara worked with her team, setting up fake signals and learning the enemy's codes. She felt nervous but excited. For the first time in months, she felt like victory was possible. In a quiet corner, Morgan met with the strike team. He looked at each of them, men and women from every part of Earth, all tired but determined. "We are all that stands between our people and defeat," Morgan said. "You have trained for this. You are ready. I will lead you myself." One young engineer, Lynn, raised her hand. "Sir, are you sure? You just woke up. What if—" Morgan smiled. "If I can walk, I can fight. And I trust all of you. Let's do this together." The team cheered softly. The sound spread through the ship, and even those not chosen for the strike felt hope. The time for action came quickly. On the bridge, Tara sat at the comms desk. Her fingers danced over the controls, sending a distress call in the old human code. "This is Endeavor. Engines failing. Life support down. Request immediate help." Her voice sounded weak and scared, just like the Xylor expected. Outside, the massive Xylor fleet moved. Their ships were strange and beautiful, dark metal with glowing blue lines. One by one, Xylor boarding ships detached and moved toward the Endeavor, ready to finish the humans for good. Inside, Morgan and his team climbed into the repair pods. The doors closed with a hiss. Tara's voice sounded in their ears, steady and calm. Pods launched. Enemy boarding parties detected on decks 4 and 6. Good luck. The pods slid quietly along the hull, hidden from enemy eyes. In the small, cold pod, Morgan looked at Lynn and the others. Stay close. Use the magnetic boots. If anything goes wrong, stick to the plan. They reached the Xylor command cruiser in minutes. It was huge, shaped like a silver fish, with sharp lines and no windows. Using tools made from old human tech, the team broke through a small airlock. Inside, the air was thick and hot, and strange alien symbols covered the walls. Meanwhile, back on the Endeavor, the Xylor boarding teams landed. Tara's team watched the screens as enemy soldiers cut into the ship. But instead of finding easy prey, they met with strong resistance. Even cooks and janitors fought bravely, blocking hallways with heavy carts and spraying foam to make the floors slippery. Tara listened to the battle through her headset. She could hear her friends shouting, orders laughing, and even singing old songs to keep their spirits up. Every second, she sent more fake signals, making the Xylor believe there were more humans than there really were. On the alien cruiser, Morgan led his team through narrow halls. They moved quietly, using scanners to avoid patrols. Lynn hacked into the main computer and opened a map. "The control room is 2 decks up," she whispered. Morgan nodded. "Let's move. Remember, we are not here for a long fight. Our job is to shut down their command system and leave." They reached the control room where 2 Xylor guards stood. Morgan signaled Lynn, who threw a noisemaker down the hall. The guards ran after the sound, and the humans slipped inside. At the main console, Lynn started her work. "I need 1 minute," she whispered. Outside, the ship shook. The Xylor had discovered the human trick, and the real battle began. On the bridge, Tara kept her team focused. "Hold the line! Keep sending those fake signals. The general needs time." Back on the Xylor ship, Lynn's hands flew over the console. Lights blinked red and blue. Suddenly, the whole cruiser went dark. The enemy's shields fell. Morgan shouted, "Time to go!" They ran back to the airlock, chased by alarms. Morgan's team jumped into their pod, just as Tara's voice came through. "Shields are down! The fleet is confused! Now's our chance!" On the Endeavor, the captain gave the order to charge forward. Human ships, small but fast, raced through the gap Morgan had found in the enemy line. The Xylor, surprised and leaderless, began to fall back. As the battle turned, Tara looked at the star map. The blue lights pushed forward, and the red ones scattered. For the first time, the humans had hope. Morgan's plan was working. The war was not over. In fact, it was just beginning to change. The silence after the first rush of battle was almost as loud as the noise before it. Tara sat at her desk on the Endeavor's bridge, her heart pounding in her chest. She stared at the screens, watching the blue dots of human ships moving forward, the red dots of the Xylor fleet breaking apart. She could barely believe what was happening. For months, they had been losing. Now, in just a few hours, everything was changing. General Morgan's voice broke the silence on the comms. "Tara, report. Are the enemy ships still confused?" Tara checked her screens. The Xylor fleet was in chaos. Some ships were turning to face the Endeavor, others moved away, searching for new orders that were not coming. "Yes, sir. They don't know where to aim. Their command ship is still dark. Your team must have shut it down." A tired but happy voice came through from the strike team's pod. It was Lynn, the engineer. "We're out, Tara, heading back to the ship. We did it. Their main controls are down and their sensors are mixed up. They're blind." "Great. Work, Lynn," Tara answered, relief in her voice. "We'll cover your approach." Across the bridge, the captain smiled for the first time in weeks. The other officers leaned over their desks, watching the star map. Every second, more Xylor ships lost formation. Some even fired on each other by mistake, fooled by the humans' fake signals and fast moves. Morgan's pod zipped through space, tiny and fast. The Endeavor's defense systems cleared a path, shooting down any stray Xylor drones. Inside the pod, Morgan and his team held tight. Lynn checked her scanner. "We're almost home. Airlock in sight." Morgan placed a steady hand on Lynn's shoulder. "You did well, all of you. Now let's not relax yet. We're not safe until everyone is back inside." The pod latched onto the Endeavor's hull and the team crawled out, tired but smiling. Crew members greeted them with cheers. For a moment, the entire ship seemed lighter, like a heavy weight had been lifted. But there was no time to celebrate. Morgan went straight to the bridge where Tara and the officers were waiting. The captain stepped aside and let the general take command again. Morgan's eyes swept the screens. He saw opportunity where others saw only confusion. "The Xylor still have numbers and weapons, but their mind is broken. We need to move fast before they recover." He gave clear, simple orders. "Tara, keep sending those fake signals. Make them think more human ships are arriving. Captain, get our fastest ships ready to move through the gap we opened. Target their supply lines. Without fuel and food, their fleet will be even weaker." The crew jumped into action. Tara worked with her team, inventing new tricks. She even sent signals in an old Earth language that the Xylor couldn't understand, making them believe a giant fleet was hiding just out of sight. Meanwhile, the Endeavor's other officers split into teams. Some worked to repair damage from the earlier attack. Others ran to the engine rooms, checking every system and getting the jump drives ready. Morgan moved among them, always calm, always encouraging. He stopped at the engine room, where a young technician named Ravi struggled with a jammed control panel. "Having trouble?" Morgan asked. Ravi looked up, sweating. "Yes, sir. The old power relay is stuck again. If we can't fix it, we might lose speed at the worst time." Morgan knelt beside him and looked at the relay. "When I was a boy, I fixed old machines with my grandfather," he said. "Sometimes you just have to listen." He closed his eyes, pressed his ear to the metal and tapped lightly. The relay buzzed, then clicked back into place. Ravi's face lit up. "It's working. Thank you, sir," Morgan smiled. "Remember, machines are like people. They need patience. Now get ready. We move soon." Back on the bridge, Tara picked up a strange message on the comms. It was weak, almost hidden under the noise of battle. She listened closer and realized it was a Xylor officer calling for help. "General, I think I found something," she said. She played the message out loud. "Xylor cruiser to command, do you read? We have lost contact. We are running low on supplies. Please advise." Morgan listened carefully. "They are scared," he said. "And when soldiers are scared, they make mistakes." He turned to Tara. "Can you send a reply in their language?" Tara hesitated. "I can try. But what should I say?" Morgan thought for a moment. "Tell them to hold their position and wait for backup. Make it sound real. If they wait, they will get cut off from their fleet." Tara typed quickly using translation tools. She sent the message. Moments later, the red dot on the map stopped moving. The Xylor cruiser had followed. Her fake order. As the human ships moved forward, the Xylor fleet grew more confused. Some ships tried to run, but without orders, they bumped into each other or moved the wrong way. The humans pressed their advantage. But then, something changed. On one screen, Tara saw a bright flash. "Sir, the Xylor are powering up their biggest weapon. They're aiming at our main engine." Morgan did not panic. "Prepare all shields in that direction. Move the Endeavor sideways. Get ready to fire everything we have at that gun." The crew responded at once. The ship shook as the Xylor weapon fired, sending a beam of energy across space. The shields groaned, lights flickered, but the ship held together. Morgan's voice was strong. "Now, all ships return fire. Aim for their weapon mount. The human ships fired a storm of missiles and energy beams. The Xyler weapon exploded in a cloud of blue fire. Cheers went up across the bridge. Even Tara shouted, "Yes!" But Morgan was not celebrating yet. "We have to keep pushing. They might try something desperate." Suddenly, the Xyler started broadcasting a message. Their admiral's voice echoed through every speaker. "Humans, you have fought well, but your victory is not complete. Surrender now, and we will spare your people." Tara shook her head. "Do they really think we'll surrender now?" Morgan stepped forward and spoke calmly into the microphone. "This is General Morgan. We are not finished. Your fleet is surrounded. Your command ship is offline and your soldiers are hungry and tired. I offer you a choice. Surrender, and you will be treated fairly, or keep fighting and risk losing everything." The Xyler fleet went silent. For several minutes, nothing moved. Then, slowly, some of the red dots on the map began to blink. One by one, enemy ships were powering down their weapons. They were surrendering. Tara let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. The captain turned to Morgan. "Sir, how did you know what to say?" Morgan smiled. "Sometimes, victory is not about guns or ships. It's about making the enemy believe they cannot win. And showing them kindness even in battle is a strength, not a weakness." Across the sector, news spread quickly. Human ships, once scattered and scared, rallied together. They reached out to survivors on other planets, telling them the good news. The tide had turned. The famous general was awake, and hope was real again. Morgan finally let himself relax. He sat down, feeling the weight of his long sleep and the long fight. Tara sat beside him, her eyes shining. "You really changed everything, sir, in just a few hours." Morgan looked around the busy, joyful bridge. "I did not do this alone, Tara. You all made it possible. The war is not over, but today we reminded everyone what it means to be human." The hours after the surrender felt strange to everyone on the Endeavor. The war was not fully finished, but it was as if someone had pressed a pause button on the chaos. The air was full of questions, relief, and a new nervous energy. Many people on the ship walked a little faster, laughed a little louder, or stopped to hug a friend. Even Tara, who always stayed serious, caught herself smiling as she moved through the halls. General Morgan did not allow himself to rest yet. He knew that a battle could change in a single moment if he was not careful. He walked the decks, meeting crew members, listening to their worries, and reminding them of their duties. Every few minutes, he stopped at a control station or a medicals bay, asking, "How are you holding up? Are the wounded being cared for? Are our systems holding steady?" The crew respected him more with every question he asked and every kind word he gave. In the communications room, Tara and her team sorted through the new flood of messages. Human ships from across the system were checking in, asking if the news was true. Was the Xylor fleet really retreating? Did the legendary General Morgan really wake up and turn the tide in just a few hours? Tara confirmed every message herself. She wanted to spread hope but not lies. One message caught Tara's eye. It was from a small rescue ship near the edge of the system. "We picked up a Xyler escape pod," the message said. Inside was a Xyler officer and a human child. Tara felt a chill run down her back. She showed the message to Morgan as soon as she saw him. He read it quietly, his face thoughtful. "Send the ship our coordinates," he said. "Prepare a medical team and security. I want to meet them myself." Soon, the rescue ship docked with the Endeavor. A few medics helped. The Xyler officer, tall, thin, with silvery skin and wide, golden eyes, off the ship. Next to him, holding his hand, was a small human girl with tangled hair and a brave, quiet look in her eyes. Morgan knelt down so he could look the girl in the eyes. "Hello," he said gently. "What's your name?" The girl answered softly. "Nina," Morgan smiled. "You are safe here, Nina. Can you tell me what happened?" Nina explained in short, clear words. Her family had lived on a colony that was taken by the Xylor months ago. Most humans were sent away, but Nina was too young and too weak to travel. The Xylor officer, whose name was Sharu, took care of her, hiding her in his quarters. When the human attack began, Sharu took Nina and escaped in a pod, hoping to find safety. Morgan nodded. He turned to Sharu. "Why did you help her?" Sharu answered, "Not all Xylor want war. I could not let a child suffer. I do not know what will happen to me now, but I want her to live." Morgan put a kind hand on Sharu's shoulder. "You did a good thing. On this ship, we protect those who show mercy. You will not be harmed." News of Nina and Sharu spread quickly through the ship. Some crew members were surprised, even angry, but Morgan's words set the tone. "We are human, not just because we fight, but because we care for others, even former enemies." Tara visited the medbay that evening. Nina was sleeping, holding a small toy she had been given by the ship's cook. Sharu sat nearby, watching quietly. Tara sat next to him and said, "It takes courage to save someone who is supposed to be your enemy." "Thank you." Sharu nodded, tired, but peaceful. Perhaps the war can end faster if more people act with kindness. Later, Morgan called a meeting of all senior officers and ship leaders. He knew that even after victory, there could be problems. The Xylor fleet was still dangerous, and not all Xylor ships had surrendered. There could be surprise attacks, mistakes, or acts of revenge. He stood in front of the group and spoke clearly. "We have won a great victory, but peace is fragile. We must act with wisdom. All surrendered Xylor ships will be given medical aid and safe passage if they lay down their arms. Any Xylor soldiers found harming prisoners or civilians will be stopped and judged fairly." The officers nodded. Some were worried. Would it be safe to show kindness to the enemy? Morgan answered their unspoken questions. "We show strength through mercy. The Xylor expect us to be cruel. Instead, we will be just. This is how we build a future, not just an ending to the war." Tara watched the room as the officers discussed plans. She realized something important. Morgan was changing not only the course of the war, but the hearts of his people. He reminded them that being human meant more than fighting. It meant building trust, even in hard times. That night, as the ship sailed quietly among the stars, Tara walked the halls, thinking. She found Morgan sitting alone in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The room was silent except for the hum of the engines. She sat beside him. "Do you think the Xylor will listen to your offer of peace?" Morgan sighed. "Some will. Some will not. But even if only a few choose peace, it is a start. Wars are easy to begin but hard to finish. Someone has to take the first step." Tara looked at him, thoughtful. "Are you ever afraid, sir?" Morgan smiled, his eyes kind. "Of course. Fear is part of life, but I believe that hope is stronger. I believe that if we keep trying, something good can grow, even from darkness." Just then, the comms buzzed with a new message. It was from the Xylor fleet. The Admiral's voice was different now, slower, less proud. "General Morgan, I have seen your mercy. I request a meeting to discuss terms." Morgan stood. "There it is, the first step." The meeting was arranged on a small, neutral ship between the fleets. Morgan, Tara, and 2 other officers boarded a shuttle. As they left, the entire crew of the Endeavor watched, hoping for a good outcome. On the neutral ship, Morgan faced the Xylor Admiral. The alien leader was tall, proud, but tired. Around them, guards from both sides watched carefully. Morgan spoke first. "We can end this today. No more battles, no more suffering. I offer you and your people safe passage, food, and care if you lay down your arms. In return, you must leave our worlds in peace and return the humans you have taken." The Admiral was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "You have surprised me, General. We believed humans to be weak. But you are not. You are strong. But your strength is different from ours. I will consider your offer." Morgan waited patiently. He knew that trust could not be built in minutes, but every honest word planted a seed. After the meeting, Tara and Morgan returned to the Endeavor. The crew crowded the halls wanting news. Morgan smiled. "We have spoken with the Xyler. There is hope. Be patient and be kind. The future depends on what we do next." That evening, Tara watched as the stars drifted by the windows. The ship felt calmer, safer. Nina and Sharu joined the crew in the mess hall for dinner. People shared food, stories, and even laughter. It was not peace yet, but it was the beginning. As Morgan stood to address the crew, he spoke not as a hero, but as a friend. "Remember this day, not just for the victory, but for the choices we made. Today, we showed that being human means more than just fighting. It means building something better for tomorrow." A soft, golden light filled the Endeavor's main hall as the ship moved slowly through open space. All around, the crew gathered to hear the latest news. After so many months of fear, it was strange to see so many smiles. Some people hugged. Others wiped away happy tears. Tara stood near the front, her eyes fixed on the large screen where new messages from across the galaxy were appearing every minute. One message came from a mining colony once lost to the Xyler. "Thank you, Endeavor. We see the Xyler ships leaving. We are free again." Another message blinked in from a distant science station. "The General is awake. Humans everywhere are celebrating." Even children on faraway moons sent drawings and photos. Smiling, faces, waving flags, bright pictures of hope. Tara watched it all, feeling proud. General Morgan stood on a small platform looking at his crew. He waited quietly, letting the room settle. Then he raised his hand and spoke. "We have done something no one thought was possible. In one day, with courage, trust, and heart, we changed the fate of this war. But this is only the beginning. The real work is just starting." He looked around the room, his eyes stopping on each face. "Peace does not come easy. We must be patient, careful, and always ready to show kindness, even when it is hard." After the speech, Tara walked through the halls, checking on her team. Many were tired but smiling. Some slept at their desks, still in their uniforms. She brought them food and thanked each one for their effort. "You made a difference," she told them. "General Morgan could not have done this alone." Meanwhile, Morgan met with his officers to make final plans for the surrender. There were still a few Xylor ships hiding in the dark corners of space. The Admiral had promised to bring them in, but Morgan knew trust had to be built step by step. He sent small teams on rescue missions to help stranded Xylor and human survivors. Tara joined one of these teams, flying out in a small shuttle to a damaged ship nearby. Inside, they found a group of Xylor soldiers and a human engineer, all hungry and scared. Tara knelt beside them and handed out water and food. "You are safe," she said gently. "The war is over. We help anyone who asks, no matter which side." A young Xyler soldier, barely older than Tara, asked quietly, "Why do you help us? We were your enemies." Tara smiled. "My general taught me that. Helping others is what makes us human. If we want peace, we must act with kindness." The soldier nodded, tears in his eyes. "Thank you. I want to go home." Back on the Endeavor, the days passed slowly but peacefully. More Xyler ships surrendered. The bridge was busy with messages. Ships reporting in, supplies being shared, doctors helping the wounded. Even the kitchens worked day and night to feed everyone. human and Xylor alike. Nina, the small girl rescued from the Xylor escape pod, became a symbol of hope on the ship. She made friends with the crew and often visited the bridge with Sharu, the Xylor officer who had saved her. People liked to see her laugh, reminding them that good things could grow even during hard times. One evening, a celebration took place in the mess hall. It was the first real party in months. Crew members played music, danced, and shared stories. Some Xylor soldiers joined in, shy at first, but soon smiling and eating beside their former enemies. Morgan watched quietly from the side. Tara noticed and sat beside him. "Why aren't you dancing, sir?" Morgan chuckled. "I was never a good dancer, but watching everyone else is enough for me. I like to see people happy." Tara looked at him, seeing how tired he was, but also how gentle his eyes had become. "Will you stay, now that the war is over?" Morgan thought for a moment. "Maybe for a while. There is much work left to do. People will need leaders who remember both the pain and the hope of these days. I want to help rebuild what was lost." News spread that a peace agreement was being prepared. Morgan and the Xylor admiral met several times, sometimes arguing, sometimes laughing, but always finding ways to move forward. The agreements included safe return for all captured humans, protection for surrendered Xylor, and plans for sharing. Knowledge to rebuild broken worlds. Tara worked long hours helping to organize new missions. Rescue teams, medical units, teachers for children who had missed school because of the war. She learned the Xylor language and taught human customs. To new friends. Sometimes she remembered how frightened she had been just days before, and she was amazed at how quickly things could change. One afternoon, as the Endeavour orbited a peaceful blue planet, Morgan gathered the crew for one final announcement. "We have reached a true turning point," he said. "There will still be hard days ahead, but we have chosen a better path. Let us honor those we lost by building something stronger together, with courage, patience, and kindness." The crew cheered, and even the Xylor visitors joined in. Sharu, standing with Nina, said softly, "I never thought I would see this day." Tara nodded, her eyes bright. "None of us did. But we made it happen, together." As the sun set behind the planet, casting a warm glow through the ship's windows, Tara walked alone for a while, thinking about everything that had happened. She realized that the greatest victory was not in battle, but in changing hearts. The lessons Morgan had taught about hope, mercy, and strength would guide her for the rest of her life. In the days that followed, the Endeavour traveled to other worlds, helping wherever they could. Morgan became an advisor, not just for the human fleet, but for all who wished for peace. He never asked for medals or titles. He just wanted to help. Tara took on new responsibilities, growing into a leader herself. She often visited Nina and Sharu, sharing stories and laughter. Whenever she faced a difficult decision, she remembered Morgan's words. "Do what is right, even when it is hard. That is the real strength of being human." One day, as the Endeavour left a newly freed colony, the crew gathered on the observation deck to watch the sunrise together. Morgan stood beside Tara and said, "Look at what we have done. Not just one person, but all of us, working together. This is the future I always hoped for." Tara nodded, feeling the truth of his words deep in her heart. The war had ended in hours after Morgan woke from cryo sleep, but the peace they were building would last for generations. And so, the story of the Endeavour, General Morgan, Tara, and all those who fought and forgave became a legend across the stars, a lesson for all that hope, courage, and kindness can change even the darkest of times.